finds a good thing. And that right there is a good thing. They say a wife is a king's crown. You see it? I believe vulnerability and authenticity are superpowers. We've seen it all throughout today, all the speakers pouring their heart out. But what I've learned is maybe the life that you didn't want to live is the story that someone needed to hear. And I'm going to show you how I went from being counted out to making everything count. Have you ever felt like the cards were stacked against you before you even started playing the game? Yeah, anybody? That's exactly how my life went even before I was born. There was generational trauma that I didn't even know about. My mother and father dealt with physical, sexual abuse, and that trickles down, even though you don't know it. When I was born into a broken family. I don't even remember my mother and father together. About 6 months old, they broke up. My mother was heartbroken. Both my father and mother were alcoholics. That ran in the family. And I remember at 2 years old, my mother moved in with my stepfather, great guy. They were in their 20s. I thought you were an adult at your 20s. You were not. We all know that. So at 2 years old, I moved in with my stepfather. He had 2 sons my age. Unfortunately, imagine this. His 2-year-old son got attacked by a wolf, completely mutilated his face, ripped off his whole scalp, and tore off one of his ears. This is a trauma that nobody should have to go through, no less a 2-year-old. But as we know, hurt people hurt people. And I moved into his house, me and my mother, and took the place of his mom. So in his eyes, we were the enemy. I was half his size. I felt like I didn't belong. They'd shove me in the attic or in the little closet room. I never felt part of the family. I was always fighting for love, always fighting to feel like I was wanted, like I actually had worth. But this is a struggle that I had throughout my whole entire life. And it kept going on, and my stepbrother, who was 2 years old when I moved in, every day I remember was torture. He did not want me there, and he reminded me every single second he could. We'd be eating dinner at the table, and he'd steal food off my plate. Or he'd tell me that the only reason I'm there is because his father, I do not belong. He used to beat me up every single day. I remember as early as 5 years old, 5, I was suicidal. I remember telling my mom one day, I don't want to live, I want to kill myself. She said, don't you say that. I said, okay, I don't want to kill myself. But I felt it inside. And it tore me apart, and I had to be isolated with those feelings, with those emotions all by myself. Nobody to share it with. I felt so unsafe every single day. My life changed at about 9 years old when my stepbrother introduced me to pot. I smoked it once, and for the first time, I felt different. I felt like I was wearing a mask, like I can dissociate from this terrible life that I was living. But it became really addictive. I started drinking and smoking at 9 years old. How many of you have 9, 10-year-olds? Little angels, right? My parents thought I was angels. In the back end, I was doing all these things just to numb and dissociate myself. I used to get picked on every day. I remember my stepbrother used to chase me up trees because that's where he couldn't get me. And he'd pick up rocks and he'd fire them at me, try to knock me out of the tree. Can't tell me how many times he hit me in the face or my body and almost knocked me out of the tree. Every day I had to run and escape from this nightmare. He used to bully me in front of my friends. Friends, didn't really have any, but they'd gang up on me. I'd get beat up by the girls in my class. See, I was a very smart kid. I was in the honors class, but I was very isolated. I was very introverted. And everybody ganged up on me. I had acne all over my face. I had braces. I had a cool little flat top. I don't know if anybody played Street Fighter growing up. There's a guy named Guile. That was me. I thought I was the coolest person since sliced bread. Definitely wasn't cool. I got picked on every single day. But something changed when I went to high school. My braces came off. My cousin Jimmy, who was a little older than me, took me under his wing. He was the cool kid. Took me, gave me a really nice haircut. My acne cleared up. My braces came off. He took me and went out to get a whole new wardrobe. Cool kid clothes. I wasn't wearing Kmart and whatever else, Fruit of the Looms or whatever I was wearing. But I was wearing like Echo and Gap and Old Navy, and I was just killing it. Gave me a silver dragon chain. And when I walked into high school, I was finally the cool kid. All the same girls that used to make fun of me were now hitting on me. I didn't even have any attention from little girls at that time. The guys wanted to be my friends. This all went to my head. The first time I was a different person, I was accepted. And I got drunk off this feeling. But I was drinking and smoking at this time, and I played baseball. And I knew that I couldn't afford it because I didn't have a job. 14 years old, you don't have a job. So I thought the best thing for me to do was to sell pot so I can afford my pot, so I could smoke pot with my friends, and I wouldn't run out. But what I found out is when you're the guy with the thing, everybody wants to hang out with you. I had unlimited friends. I was smoking 10, 15 times a day. I had more money than I could count. And this became a lifestyle. I would smoke all day at school, hang out with my friends, play baseball, living the good life, had a ton of money in my pocket. And this went on, and it was great. It was probably the best year of my childhood, freshman year. But we know how this road goes. Started smoking and drinking, and I got introduced to things that were way harder. I remember the first time I got introduced to cocaine. It was a friend of mine that I highly respected, and they left their safe open just a little bit, and I was curious. And I peeked in, and I seen a kilo of cocaine, a gun, and 100 stacks to the top of the safe. I thought he was cool. I was like, you know what? Let me just chip off a block. And I put it in a bag, and I rolled it up, and I snorted it, and boom, my face went numb. And from that moment, I was completely addicted. I would go to school high. I go to baseball high. I thought it was a performance-enhancing drug. This is how dumb I was as a kid. I would go to games high on cocaine, high on ecstasy, because the first time, let me tell you, it was a good idea. I was up there at bat, first pitch, boom, I hit a home run. I was like, wow, this is awesome. I went 3 for 5 with 5 RBIs that game. It's like when you win the first time you go to Vegas, you think you're a winner. I definitely was not a winner. This kept transpiring over and over again. And then junior year, I did the same thing. I was partying all night. We had a baseball tournament. I thought I had the secret sauce. Showed up before the game. We're throwing the balls around. My friend's messing with me because he's been partying all night. And he's getting the people to throw the ball over my head, and I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, oh, stop it, stop it. Then finally he throws one over my head, and I go like this, and they flip me the ball, and I pick the ball up, and I throw it right in front of me, and I run right into the backstop. Boom, I have a seizure in front of all of my friends and family. When I woke up, I had like superhuman strength. I didn't know what was going on. I woke up with 5 people on me, and I threw them off of me. Got up, ran right back into the backstop, and they rushed me to the ambulance. I lied to all my friends and family about what was going on, but I knew it was going on. I had a problem. Now, I started in the honors class as a superstar, all-star baseball player and football player, but it started to consume me, and I had no control over it. My grades went from 95 to 55. I got through high school by the skin of my teeth because I played baseball and football. I remember I went to a football game, and I was doing the same thing, and I was running down the field, thought I was Superman, And I didn't see a 250-pound guy run right in front of me and light me up and lift me right off my feet. Had a concussion at the game. By the end of high school, I watched all my friends go to their dream colleges. And I think that's an experience that all kids should have, to go away to college, have that little experience. And I was looking forward to it, but not me. I didn't have the grades to do it, so I had to stay home. I went to a city college close by, still had dreams of playing baseball and football. And at 18 years old, one of the worst things happened to me. I was driving in my car, and I was taking a left-hand turn. And the light turned red, and a bus ran the red light. And I went into a head-on collision with a bus. I injured my neck and my back, and I got severely addicted to painkillers. This is when my life started spiraling out of control. I had no control. I lost every relationship, every opportunity. Everything in my life that was worth anything was gone. I turned around, and there was nothing left. It was just me and my new drug habit. Now, at that time, they were giving out opiates like Skittles. It's about 05, 06. I had like 3 or 4 scripts. I was popping them like this. I'd get 2 just to wake up in the morning. Then another one in 2 hours, another one in 2 hours. And then one day I woke up, and I didn't have any, and I was sick as a dog. And this is when I knew it had its hooks in me, that there was nothing I can do, that I was a slave to my addiction. I'm telling you, you don't know freedom until you're a slave to addiction, until you wake up every single morning, and your first thing that you think of is, how am I going to score, or else I'm going to be sick. After a while, all this caught up to me. I was selling, trying to get as much money as I can. One of the kids that was working for me ratted me out twice, didn't even know it until the second time. Cops pulled me over, same cops each time, same spiel, pulling you over for tints. Officer, I don't have tints, get out of the car. Ripped up my trunk, locked me up, took my money, and I was in danger. The guy that I was selling for actually put a hit out on me, wanted to kill me. I owed him 15 grand. I didn't know what to do. My father eventually bailed me out, and he got me into the union, and I started working as a concrete laborer. Has anybody done concrete here? Yeah, you know what kind of job that is. That is professional slavery. You're working 12 hours a day, rain, sleet, hail, snow, picking up the hardest, dirtiest, heaviest things you can possibly imagine. The problem was I was still on pills. I was working so I can afford my pills, just so I can go to work, just so I can afford my pills. It was this vicious cycle that I was absolutely stuck in, and I watched everything disappear. I lost my apartment, I lost my car, I lost my girlfriend, I lost every ounce of dignity and self-respect I ever had. My father took me in, and he let me stay for his house for about 6 months until he couldn't take it anymore. He used to show me pictures and videos of me like nodding out. Be like, look at you, you're high. I'm like, no, Dad, I'm tired. Like, you're not tired, you're high. She kept denying it, and then one day, my father woke me up with my whole entire family at 7 a.m. to do an unprofessional intervention. And I don't recommend this because it did not go good. Woke me up at 7 a.m. I was like, boom, boom, boom. Get at the door. They're like, come outside. You need to go to a program right now for 2 years, or you got to get out of my house. First of all, that's not how you do it. I felt so defensive, so mad, so angry that the only people in my life that was still there were turning on me. I didn't realize they were trying to help me. They were just doing it the wrong way. I said, 2 years or I got to get out of here? I'm out of here. I packed a book bag, threw it on my shoulder with about 2 shirts, a pair of shorts, and a pair of sneakers, and I threw my safe on my shoulder, and I stormed out. I was like, the heck with you guys, I'm out of here. Showing them that I'll show them. As soon as I turned the corner, tears running down my face, crying hysterical. How did I get here? It's in the middle of November, freezing cold. I'm in a tank top and T-shirts and shorts, carrying a safe about a half a mile to my best friend's house. Tears running down my face. One of the worst experiences of my life. I get to my best friend's house. His mother answers the door. And I say, my father hates me. My mother hates me. I have nowhere to go. Can I stay here? She's like, sweetie, you can stay here as long as you want. We love you. They cooked me a bowl of macaroni and cheese that night. I'll never forget. Should have been the last meal of my life. Because everybody woke up that morning except for me. They found me face first in my vomit, blue, completely unresponsive. And this will show you the depths of addiction and mental health problems. As I'm dying on my best friend's floor, and his sister is calling the ambulance to save my life, my best friend is running through my pockets, checking for money and drugs, because he's like, he doesn't need them anymore. It's better off in my pocket. Now, mind you, my best friend was the prom king of our high school. Coolest kid I knew. But at this point of his life, like myself, he burnt every single bridge, and he sold his soul for his addiction. They rushed me to the hospital. In the ambulance, my heart stopped. They revived me. They stabilized me. They get me into the ICU. And for the next 3 weeks, I'd be fighting for my life. In that time, I flatlined 3 times. Boom. I thought I wasn't going to make it. It got so bad, they had a priest come in and read me my last rites. Nothing short of a miracle. By the grace of God, as my friends and family are lining up to say their goodbyes, they're about to pull the plug. I just woke up. But when I woke up, I didn't wake up healed. I woke up with multi-organ failure. I had 108 fever. My brain was frying. They had me under ice blankets. My liver, kidneys, lungs, heart, brain, completely shut down. I had 20% oxygen to my brain. I was 100 pounds soaking wet. I had sepsis of the blood. I was on 24-hour dialysis. And I had gangrene in all 4 of my limbs. The doctor said, this is a miracle. I don't even know why he's alive. He should be dead right now. But if he survives, he's going to be completely brain dead, and he's going to lose all 4 of his limbs. And I'm just sitting there like, I can hear you. Stop talking death over me. I'm fine. But I couldn't speak because I had tubes in my throat, tubes in my lungs, tubes in every orifice you could think of. I couldn't even tell my mom I was sorry. I looked her in the eyes. It looked like she aged 10 years since the last time I seen her. It was the most guilt and shame I ever felt in my whole entire life. When I heard all these things, I started praying to God for the first time, because in that coma, before I went in, I was a complete atheist. Didn't believe in anything. I was like, why does this black cloud follow me everywhere I go? Life stinks. If there's a God, where is he? But in that coma, I felt the presence of God for the first time, undoubtedly. Thank you. So I prayed. I was like, God, I know you're real. I'm so sorry. I messed up. Please give me a second chance. Give me one more shot. If you give me a second chance, I promise I'll make a difference. I promise I'll change. Just give me one more chance. For weeks on end, I got no response. Until one day, I'll never forget, one day the doctor walks in and says, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is, I think you're going to make it. I think you're out of the woods. The bad news is, we're going to have to take your leg tonight or you're going to die. Well, when I heard that, I was high as a kite on medication. I was like, take that leg. All my bad luck was in that foot anyway. but I was so medicated, I didn't think this was real. I thought it was a dream. Until the morning after, the nurse picks up the sheets, and I look down, and I have a stump for a leg. Could you imagine that? Walking around your whole life, 2 legs, athletic, handsome. That's my wife. You look down, and your leg is gone. the different things your life is going to look like. When this went through, I realized this was real. This is my life. This is reality. What am I going to do for the rest of my life? What kind of woman is going to want to marry a man with one leg when there are billions walking around with two? Thank you, love. My identity was being athletic and strong, and it was snatched from me. Every emotion you could ever imagine went through my head. Anger, guilt, shame, frustration. But the one that stood above all of them was gratitude. Being grateful that I was still alive, that I still had that second chance, that I had an experience with God that changed my perspective on life. So I knew I was going to fight. I was on breathing machines. They would lower the oxygen low so I'd have to struggle for each and every single breath, but high enough so I wouldn't die. It was like being waterboarded for weeks on end. I was on 24-hour dialysis because I was in such bad shape they couldn't give me the regular. They left my eyes open in the coma because I was in such bad shape, they didn't even worry about that. They couldn't even turn me because if they would have moved me, I would have died. I had bed sores on the back of my head, on my glute, all down my back because I just had to lay there. But I knew I had a second chance. So I started learning how to breathe again. I had to learn how to walk again, talk again, eat again. This is a funny story. We're going to bring it out of the sadness. I couldn't eat or drink anything for 3 months. Talk about dry mouth. I would put my mom and my dad against each other because they would take shifts watching me. And I would be like, my mom dips the sponge in the water. And they put it in my mouth on like this little lollipop, and I clamp onto it. And it was so great. And one day, I convinced my father to put it in Gatorade. They call this Gatorgate. It was a big, big thing in the hospital. So I'm like, my mom puts it in Gatorade. So my dad's like, all right, I guess if she does it, she's the boss. So he dips it in Gatorade, and I'm drinking it. And then I go to my mom. I'm like, my dad dips it in Gatorade. I'm like scheming both of them. I'm working both ends. But I'll tell you, the first time that I had a taste of Gatorade, I thought I had an orgasm. I should have done a Gatorade commercial because I would have made $1 million. But now I'm scheming Gatorade for my mother and my father. And the speech pathologist comes in to change my dressing on my neck, right? And she takes the bandage off, and there's red dripping out of my neck. And she freaks out. She's like, oh my God, what's going on, Code Red? And me and my father are sitting there like two guilty kids in the principal's office like, oh no, we're gonna get it right now. She reamed us out real good. And then I got out of there, and I was about 4 months, and they had to learn how to walk again. I had complete nerve damage in this hand. They said I was never gonna be able to move my hand again. I couldn't move this shoulder. And when I got out of the hospital, I was 100 pounds. I was trying to figure out how to live. I could barely look because the light was so bright because of my scarring on my eye. When I got home, it took me almost an hour to get up the staircase because I was so weak. My family had to let me up there. And at the time, I thought I had somebody in the hospital, a girl I was dating at the time. She's like, I love you. You're amazing. I want to be with you for the rest of my life. Da-da-da. The first day I get home, she breaks up with me. I realized that she went nuts. She was drinking all the time, made a fool of herself, and she broke up with me, and I thought that was the only person I ever had, because when you're doing drugs and you're in addiction, you don't really have real friends, right? You have people that you use with. You have people that you cop from. But when I got out, I had nobody left because I invested so many minutes of my life into just getting drugs, doing drugs, using drugs. So I had no real friends left. My girlfriend at the time left me. I'm 120 pounds soaking wet right now. I can't move my hand. I'm sitting in the bed. I have no job, no career, no identity. I had to build myself from scratch. That's why I love Dr. Valentina's message about reinventing yourself, because that's exactly what I had to do. I wallowed in self-pity for about 2 weeks. until I went to the prosthesis office. And he looks at me and said, Kev, it does not look good. It's going to take you 2 years to learn how to walk. I was like, what? Man, I rolled out of that prosthesis office about as fast as you can in a wheelchair. I was like, I'll show you. And I went at it and I worked every single day. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this done. 2 weeks later, I walk into the office completely unassisted on my own 2 feet. The nurses tried to grab me. I'm like, don't touch me. I'm going to do this my way. They were blown away. They could not believe that within 2 weeks, I was walking. And there was all these stories about what happened to me, crazy game of telephone and all the things that I did. And after 2 months, I made a video of me running. Imagine that. Being told you're going to not be able to walk for 2 years, and you're running in 2 months. And what I learned from this is don't ever let anyone ever tell you what you can or cannot do. Your only limitations of life are your mindset and your faith. You could do anything. With God on your side, with the mentality to overcome anything, there is a limitless amount of possibilities. Now that I knew that I broke the odds and I started running in 2 months, I went to the neurologist. And he looked at my hand, he said, Kevin, you have complete nerve damage, you have atrophy, you're never gonna be able to move your hand again. Now, mind you, I was a righty, so I had to learn how to do everything with my left hand. Try to brush your teeth with your left hand. Anybody? Not good. I had to do everything. And I would take this arm to pick up this hand to grab everything. And he told me I'm never gonna be able to move my hand again. I was like, that's crazy, I've been doing this my whole life. Who are you to tell me I can't do that? So I went home with a vengeance, and I talked to my hand. I'm like, come on, hand. We've been doing this our whole lives. Just move. My mother, father, friends, barely had any I had, all thought I was losing my mind. I'm like, I know this is going to work. I kept talking to it, talking to it, talking to it. I'm like, I don't got nothing to do. I got no job. I got nothing going on in my life. I'm not going anywhere until you move. And then one day, after 9 months, I'm looking down, I'm talking to it, my finger wiggled. That's all I needed to know. Anybody ever see the movie Kill Bill? When she's like, wiggle your big toe. Well, I felt like that with my hand, so I started wiggling my finger, then I moved my hand, then I started moving my wrist. I started using soda bottles as weights. I was getting really strong. And now I got about 90% use of my hand. Pretty cool, right? Yeah. Thank you. So once I got out of the hospital and I started doing well, my stepmother at the time was dying of cancer. She had stage 4 cancer, but she sucked it up to take care of me when I was in the hospital. You would have never knew she was sick, but the second I got out of that hospital, she started declining. And about 6 months later, on my birthday, I'm hanging out with my father, I'm hanging out with my brother, and I get the call. Debbie's dying. We rushed to the hospital. Now, she's on her deathbed. I'm crying. She's like, you know, in the last few months, I've been getting really close to God, and we've been speaking. And he told me that you're going to use all of this adversity, all these challenges in your life for good. Promise me you're going to make a difference in this world. Promise me you're going to help other people that are struggling with this get through it. I'm like, I promise, I promise. She's like, also, promise me you're going to write a book. I'm like, I never wrote anything more than 3 pages. She's like, promise me. I'm like, all right, I promise. She passed away. But I never forgot the promise I made to God and the promise I made to my stepmother. It's always in the back of my mind. So I had to make something of this. So I became a self-development junkie. That's what we do as addicts. We go from one addiction to the next. Right? Anybody out there know what I'm talking about? If you're doing drugs and you stop, you're working on exercise. You're not doing exercise, you're addicted to cookies. You know, like, it goes to something. My wife knows I'm so obsessively impulsive about when I get my hands on something, forget about it. So now I'm reading every book I can get, taking all the classes. I'm going back to school. I'm like, I'm going to become a doctor. That's how I thought I was going to help. But I realized when you become a doctor, you got to take labs with every class. So to get 4 credits, you got to go to class for 7 hours, and I was not doing that. So I got my bachelor's degree in psychology and I got my minors in biology, and I'm reading all these books and I'm reading all these books, and then I'm watching all my friends die from the opioid crisis. And it broke my heart because almost every single week I had to go to another funeral. I'm like, my whole life would come to a screeching halt if I went to all these kids' funerals. So I wrote my story to the paper in my area, the Staten Island Sunday Advance. And the editor reached out to me within 30 minutes, and he said, Kevin, this story is amazing. We want to put it on the front page of the Sunday Advance. I was like, cool, man. Sounds good. I've never been in the paper before. Let's go. It was a really great story. But what happened is it went viral. And all these organizations reached out to me. They're like, we need you to tell this story. We need people to be inspired, to be motivated, to see what is possible. So one of these organizations called Scared Straight invited me to speak at an event just like this. There was about 500 people in it. And they're like, we want you to be our keynote speaker. I didn't even know what that was. I was like, yep, I'm that. I was terrified. I'd never spoken to more than 10 people in the middle of class, but I went there because I promised my stepmother, I promised God that I was going to make something out of this. So I went up there real bold and courageous like David, and I took a piece of paper, crumpled up piece of paper, and it's my time to speak, and I stutter, and I'm like shaking as I go up there. My glasses are fogging up. I'm like, I think I'm going to die in front of everybody right now. I'm stuttering. I have this paper. I'm like, oh, no, please let me get through this. And I got through the whole speech. And what happened was I got a standing ovation. Everybody stood up. Everybody clapped. And afterwards, people lined up to tell me how it inspired them, how it motivated them, how that they're going to stop doing drugs today, or they understand what their loved one is going through. I'm sure everyone in this room is affected by addiction one way or another, right? Everybody has a friend, a family member, somebody that they deal with. That's the real pandemic. That's what we're struggling with. But the problem is, the opposite of addiction is connection. What we're going through today with all these people with social media and the internet, we're the least connected we have ever been. Drug rates are going sky high. They're just getting worse and worse every single day. So once I started speaking, I was like, this is really cool. This is the highest I've ever been. I should have been doing this my whole life. Way better than the pipe. And I was like, how can I do more? I seen this lady, she had the Addictions Academy. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get certified as a drug interventionist. I'm going to get certified as a recovery coach, and I'm going to start helping people overcome addiction. And it was great. I took the class. The owner of the company fell in love with me. She said, I love your story. I think you're amazing. She hired me as her top sober companion and recovery coach and drug interventionist. In fact, I started teaching the class. I've helped a few hundred people get certified as drug interventionists, as recovery coaches. I used to go stay with celebrities. She was the celebrity addictions coach. So I would go to high-profile people's houses, have to sign NDAs, so I can't share who they were. But I stayed with them for 30 days and helped them get sober. I taught them how to deal with the people, places, and triggers in real life time. Learn how to navigate life without drugs. See, drugs was never the problem. Drugs was the poor solution to a problem that in result became an even bigger problem. That's what happens. People have a need inside them that is being unfulfilled. Whether it's not feeling loved, not feeling worthy, not feeling like they're contributing in some kind of positive way. Maybe they have nothing to offer anyone. Confidence issues. These drugs are poor solutions to these problems. That's why I identify as an identity coach, because I help people find their true identity, who they are, without drugs, what their true purpose in life is. When you have purpose, man, you don't need any of those things. You're on fire. You wake up every morning with a mission. And that's what I'm on. I'm on a mission. So I started doing this. I started helping people. I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people, if not thousands at this point, get over addiction, mental health issues, suicide ideology. And it really just warms my heart. It gives me purpose, and it gives me need. And I'm going to tell you my love story before I get into our little workshop. But I was really good at what I did. I had some friends that wanted to open up a detox center in California. I lived in New York, if you can't tell from my accent. Hey, yo, forget about it. So my friends came up with this proposal that we're going to open up a detox in California. I gave up my whole job, my whole career, to take a truck, drive across the country with a trailer on the back with very little. I drove across California because I thought God wanted me to open up this detox center. We were going to make a bunch of different facilities. We were going to help tons of people, and my life was going to be amazing. You know, it's funny when you make a plan, God laughs. It's like, because he has the God's eye view, you know, the bird's eye view. He sees everything. You're like, why is this happening? You're like, you'll see. Next chapter. So I come out there. I'm barely making minimum wage. I'm working 80 hours a week. I met my wife 2 years before I went out there at a networking event called Secret Knock. And I see her across the room, and she's staring at me. And I'm staring at her. I'm like, I'm not going to let this girl stare me out. And we're staring at each other for like a whole minute. Have you ever stared at a stranger for a whole minute? Weird. So now she's still not looking away. I'm like, man, now I got to talk to this girl. And I'm a chicken. I don't just start approaching random women that I never met. But I'm like, I have to, because this is weird, and I'll be a creep after this. So I beeline it to her. I walk over. I'm like, hey, I'm Kevin, trying to act all cool. She's like, hi, I'm Ashley. She finds out that I'm in New York. She lives in California. She's a good Christian girl. She's like, there's no way I'm hanging out with this guy, because not a good idea. But as I walk away, she says to her friend sitting next to her, she's like, I think I just met my husband. Don't quote me. I extended my stay by 2 days. I'm like, I'm slick. I'm going to get a date with this girl. Extend my stay by 2 days in San Diego. I'm never there before. I'm like, hey, so I hear the tacos are really good here because we're close to Mexico, right? I thought I was real slick. So maybe you could show me your favorite taco spot. She's like, absolutely. And she sends me the GPS location. She's like, have fun. Man. I'm like, strike one. And then the next day, I'm like, it's my last day in San Diego. I heard the beaches are beautiful. She's like, they are. They're really beautiful. In fact, I have the perfect beach for you. She sends me the GPS locations of La Jolla. She's like, have fun. I'm like, oh, man. So I go all the way back home. I actually invited her on my podcast. And when we look back, we were flirting professionally the whole time. It was not just a Love Boat show. And then she invited me to speak to her 60 agents. She's a financial educator and broker. I spoke as a speaker on a Zoom call. And nothing happened for 2 years. And then I drove across the country to open up this detox center. Promised my friends I was not going to date. First day there, could jump on a Zoom. She's like, I'm a whole wife. And I look at her, I'm like, I think you're my wife. I was like, that's weird. Why did I say that? I got to meet you. She's like, well, I got to give my friend back their sweatshirt. I'm like, that's weird. Send me your address. I'll be there in an hour. I get there. I'm like, listen, I don't know anything around here, so just pick the place, and I'll handle the rest. I usually take care of the date, but I don't want it to be dumb. So she picks a place near the water. We sit near the water for 8 hours and speak. I ask her out the first day. I buy a ring in 2 weeks. In 2 months, I propose to her, but I'm working 80 hours a week. And I told her friends, I'm like, I can't do nothing. I'm working all day. So I got her friend to get her to the spot, and her sister, who's the Pinterest queen, to do the marry me and the flowers and all the pretty stuff that girls like. And we set her up. And I proposed to her in front of the San Diego Bay. I got down on a knee and I proposed, and she started crying. She's like, do you realize this is where we had our first date? Isn't that beautiful? None of her friends didn't know. God knew. We had our first date at the place that I proposed to her on accident. And let me tell you, there's no such thing as coincidences. That's God's way of staying anonymous. And then I kidnapped her, and I brought her to the desert and bought her a house, and that's why we're out here. But what I want to talk about is something that's really applicable for everybody. Now that you guys heard my story, that I could talk for story for hours. We got limited time. What I want to talk about is getting your needs met. Because what I found dealing with all these people struggling with addiction is that the only reason they're doing it is because they're trying to get needs met. See, everybody makes decisions, and you can write this down, from the avoidance of pain and the obtainment of pleasure. Every single decision you make in your life, it's because you're avoiding the pain or you're trying to get some pleasure. And that's how people make their decisions. But I want to make it real clear for everyone out here so they can navigate through life like a superstar. And I'm sure maybe some people heard about this, but I'm going to go over the 6 human needs. Anybody ever heard of this before? Oh, I got a bunch of fresh people on here. I know you, Miriam, heard it. We went over that before. So if you guys want to write this down, because this is going to be really powerful, and we're going to be a little interactive. I don't want to talk at you. I want to talk with you. So the 6 human needs, the first one is certainty. Everybody needs certainty. This is the need for security, for stability, for safety. Anybody here a safety kind of person? Stability? Anybody like that? I know thank you. I know when I was a kid, I needed that because I did not feel safe. I did not feel safe. I did not know what was going to happen. I was terrified. This was a really important need when I was a kid, not so much now. The second one is variety. It's the spice of life. What's somebody's favorite food? What's your favorite food? Mexican food? If I fed you Mexican food, would you love it today? What about tomorrow? What about tomorrow? What about the next day? What about 500 days in a row? Would you be excited about that Mexican food? Maybe. Maybe the wrong guy asked. The point is, variety is the spice of life. If somebody fed me steak every single day of my life, by the 10th day, I'd be like, I want salad. Because I just couldn't do it, because you need that variety. That's the second one. The third one is significance. We all need to feel significant. This is the need to feel important, to feel wanted, to feel good, and to feel valuable. That's the third one. The fourth one is love and connection. Love and connection. We all need this because we are all social creatures. The fifth is growth, because if you're not growing, you're dying. And the sixth is contribution. It's adding value to something outside of yourself. Now I'm going to go over a few of these things, and what I want you to think as I'm doing this is, what's your hierarchy of importance? Because we all need all 6 of these human needs, every single one of us. The difference between the decisions I make and the decisions that you make is you might have a different hierarchy of importance. So for me, when I was a kid and I was in an unstable environment, certainty was so important to me, because I was getting beat up and I was getting bullied and I didn't feel loved and I didn't feel unstable. My mom would get kicked out of the house as we were young kids and I didn't know where I was going to live. That was really, really important to me. Certainty could be a good thing like that, but certainty can also be negative in aspects like maybe you don't take the risk. Maybe you play it safe. Maybe you don't take that shot or ask that pretty girl out on a date, or you don't take that job opportunity because you want to stay safe. I'll tell you, if anybody's an entrepreneur in here, you ain't got no certainty in your life. It's all up and down, up and down. You don't know what's going to happen next. Variety for me really got fulfilled as a kid because I was doing drugs and partying and doing all these things. And I like to try new things. I like to have experiences. And there may be somebody out there that really enjoys having different things, different opportunities, different experiences. That was really big when I was a kid. Not so much now. These next few are some of the ones that are most important to me. Significance. I want to feel like I'm the best at what I do. I want to get better and better every single day. I want to know that I touched somebody and that I impacted somebody and that I made a difference. I want to feel significant. I want to leave a legacy for my family when I get old, when I pass away. Very, very important. Love and connection, so important for me. We're all social creatures. I love my wife. She brings so much joy to my life. I love connecting to each and every single one of you. I also want to shout out, I got all my homies in the room. When we did this event, I'm going to shout everybody out because you guys are all very, very important to me. Like I said, Dre's like my brother. He's been there for me since I came to Arizona, one of the most stand-up, solid guys I ever met. Nathan's a true leader, man. He inspires me. He rocks my mind sometimes. The thought processes. I love the way his mind works, and I consider him a brother. I got my man TJ over here. I just want to give a shout out. He has a ranch, and he's a true cowboy. This guy has amazing horses and goats, and he does horse therapy with people. Oh, you're pointing out. That's TJ right there. Just say a little shout out. We didn't meet him yet, but he has an amazing therapy. He helps people get over depression. He teaches people how to ride. He helps people connect with nature and animals, and it's absolutely beautiful. I had an amazing experience at your ranch, brother. Love you, man. Thank you so much for coming. And I got the man behind the camera, Five Flash Media, Josh. This guy is an absolute rock star. He makes the best content that you can imagine. I'm so grateful and so thankful that you even were able to come to this event. And obviously my wife, I got Miriam out there. These are all my people, and that's what we're doing with True Warrior Community. We're creating a community of helping each other, because raising tides raise all ships, and we're here to help one another lift and grow. So love and connection is really important to me. I want to connect with everybody in the audience. I have such a high, big God vision that I need everybody's help. And I will share that in a little while. Growth is important, because I was such a schlep when I was a kid. I didn't use any of my skills and abilities, and I just wasted 25 years of my life. I have a lot of making up to do. I read all the books, I take all the classes, I cold plunge every single day like a madman. I'm at the gym hitting the bag and trying to get strong each and every single day. I have a bad neck, back, missing my leg. I mean, I have so many adversities stacked for me, but I'm never gonna let it hold me back. And the sixth, which is my most important, is contribution. God saved my life to save other people's lives. That is my number one need in this world, is to make a difference, is to add value outside of myself. Because my story, although I took all this time to tell my story, it's not about me. It's about what God did in my life and what he's gonna do through me to help so many other people that are struggling with the same things. Contribution is the highest I've ever felt. That's why when I got on stage and I talked and I had a standing ovation, I was like, wow, I could do this for the rest of my life. Now, I'm going to take a set of hands, because I want to see what the census of the room is. I want you to raise your hand if certainty is in your top two. Okay, we got a few honest people in there. Miriam, your lady. Raise your hand if variety is one of your top needs in your life. Do you like living on the edge? All right, I like it. I dig it. Bang, bang. I love it. How about significance? I bet I see a lot of hands in this one. There you go. There's everybody hiding. I love that. Excellent, excellent. I got you. You're so beautiful and so pretty and so sweet and the best in the whole wide world. That's how you give people significance. How about love and connection? Yeah, we got the lovers in the house. Excellent, excellent. I love that. How about growth? Well, you guys must be all entrepreneurs. I love that. And finally, my favorite, without further ado, contribution. Okay, I'm in the right room. We all need to connect. I am a huge believer in synergy. God put a mission on my heart to help 10 million people, and I can't do it on my own. I have a vision to open a virtual intensive outpatient program for mental health, substance abuse. I have a non-for-profit I'm trying to launch, and I really want to change the game when it comes to addiction and mental health, and I'd love to connect with anybody that wants to be up that field. But what I want you to do, now that you know what your top two are, I want you to run life through this filter. Does this decision I make bring me my highest form of need? For me, it's contribution and love and connection. Does the decision I'm making today contribute to something outside of me or make me more connected and feel more loved? That's how I run all my decisions. Because now I know all my needs are being met, and I don't have to find something like drugs and alcohol to get my needs met. I'm completely fulfilled with God's love, his mission on my heart, and what he's doing in my life. And think about this for you that have kids. You know, it's hard to connect with kids because you're not their age. But maybe ask them, or maybe try to figure it out. What does my son, what does my daughter truly desire? Do they want to have new experiences and variety, or do they just want love and connection? Do they want to feel significant? Maybe they're craving to feeling significant. Maybe they don't feel worthy or not enough. Maybe you can fulfill their need in a way that it's never been fulfilled ever before. Think about the way you can have relationships with people and blow their socks off. You have somebody that you work with or a loved one, and they just want to feel significant, and you look them in the eyes and say, I think you're absolutely amazing at drawing. You're the best artist I ever met in my life, and I appreciate you. They're going to melt. It's the little teeny things that you say that can change the entire world of somebody. And we have this ability to do this. If we start being more conscious in the interactions that we have, being more aware, being more present. Present is called present because it is a gift. It is the only time that you have control over. If you're thinking about the past, you're depressed. If you're thinking about the future, you're in anxiety and stressed out. The present is a gift. Be present with people. Look them in the eyes. Understand what they need, what they feel. I want you guys to really use this because we can really make a huge impact in the people in our lives, in our own lives. Think about the person you could be. Think about how fulfilled you can be if you just took a second to understand yourself and the people around you. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with is more of like a North Star of understanding how to become your highest self. I always tell people to make a towards goals list, values. Like, what are your highest values? Is it integrity? Is it love? Is it generosity? Is it power, passion, strength, honesty? Make a list of all the values that you value the most. That if you did that, you would respect yourself and love yourself at the highest level. Map it out. Be intentional on the way that you live. You can literally become the greatest version of yourself, but you need to be aware of who that person is, how to get those needs met, how to emulate that person. I read a book called, I'm going to butcher it, but it's like How to Be Your Future Self Now. And it's really identifying who you want to be. Create a picture, make a dream of the utmost highest self that you possibly can, and make every decision through that filter. Is this making me loving? Is this making me integral? Is this making me strong? Whatever it is, ask yourself. Be intentional. You are the artist of your life. You get to choose and get to create any life that you want once you make the decision to do that. So I want to leave you guys there. I know it's been a really, really long night. I appreciate you guys listening to my long story. I hope I impacted you, changed your life in some kind of capacity. I hope there's a way that we connect, we could change the world together that really, really can make a difference. And I want to say, don't try to define your miracles in your life. Let the miracles in your life define you, because that's really what matters these days. I want to thank you guys all for coming. That's way past my bedtime. I would have been in bed by 8. But thank you so much for giving me the stage. Thank you so much, Lisa. I love you guys. You guys are friends forever. Have a wonderful night. Take care.
Yes, everyone, thank you for coming. Everyone here has poured their heart out, and I hope you got some value from that. What I need from you is a little community. Will you do that? Will you join this community? What I need from you is on your table, there is a sign-in sheet. And we forgot to tell you to fill that out. So if someone could be the leader at your table, pick up that sign-in sheet, grab a pen, put your name. We want to get feedback on how this event was for you. Nobody's going to reach out to you. Nobody's going to bother you. Nobody's trying to get you for anything. We just want to hear your feedback. Another thing you're going to find on your table is this small sheet for True Warrior Success.